What's going on, everybody? Welcome to BucosLocker. Subscribe to the channel, like the channel, share all the videos. Don't forget to hit the notification bell icon to notify you on all new videos that's posted on this channel. Yes, indeed. Glorious day. Glorious day. Glorious day. Um, Gloomy day, but also a shiny day at the end as well. I want to welcome everybody to BucosLocker. Another day, another dollar. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully everybody's okay. Get you some Bitcoin. You want to talk about crypto? You want to talk about crypto, right? You got time? And get you some Bitcoin, by the way. Shakedown right now. Shakedown. Bitcoin halving coming up. A lot of good things going on my end. I'm pretty sure everybody want to dive into these contracts. The deadline has passed with the Winfield Jr. situation, the Mike Evans contract situation, and Baker Mayfield. The final piece of the puzzle, right? So let's start with I'm not gonna take a lot of y'all time here. I'm gonna try to get through this as quick as possible because I got stuff to do. So I don't plan on being on this video too long. But I do want to talk about Mike Evans and Winfield Jr. and Baker Mayfield. Hashtag bigger picture. That is the thought process, right? The bigger picture, right? We need to start looking at the bigger picture here. You feel me? Because we ain't got time to be crispy today. You know, we need to look at the bigger picture here with the Mike Evans contract, the Winfield Jr. situation, and also Baker Mayfield. So we're gonna dive into this. Let's talk about Mike Evans contract. 2 years, $52 million, huh? Not so fast, my friend. I always look at contracts so differently. I've always looked at contracts. I never looked at the biggest number. I do it because of an annual average, but it's always about the guarantee money. It's always about what's guaranteed. Now, according to reports by multiple sources, and there's some mixed reports here about the breakdown of the contract, but I'm going to kind of give you what I've read on social media. Now, I'm not a contract guy. I'm not a capologist. I'm not all that extra. I'm not, Jason Light and his minions and John Spivak. And there's another guy that helps out John Spivak and Mike Greenberg and all that stuff like that. But I do read and I can comprehend. That's the good thing about it, right? And I like math. So breaking down, right? So shout out to, I think this is Aaron Wilson here of _ NFL. He kind of gave a good breakdown of Mike Evans' contract. So Mike Evans, $52 million max. Oh, he would have got way more on open market. Looking at this contract breakdown, it was almost like a discount. I don't know what it is, but he would have got more money on the open market. Just looking at this contract breakdown. So let's get to it. Let's get to it. Warm moon, bigger 9. Base value is $41 million with $35 million guaranteed. 80% of the base value. 80% of the base value is guaranteed. That means 80% of that. That's $35 million guaranteed out of the $41 million. $21.79 million roster bonus for 2024. So you got your base salary and you got your roster bonus. That means when you're on the roster, regardless of what happens, if your name is on that roster, you get that money. Okay. So that, so he gets $21 million for roster bonus, right? Almost $22 million, almost. $1.21 million fully guaranteed for 2024 base salary for $23 million fully guaranteed in 2024 total compensation. So for cap purposes, the cap hit is going to be $5.5 million. In other words, and we'll get to this little breakdown, and so y'all can kind of help, so y'all kind of understand how it looks for the Bucs. This was a good contract for this is a hell of a contract for the Bucs. Shout out to Jason Light and Mike Greenberg and the Minions. But I'm always going to look at the bigger picture at the very end of this video. So for signing bonuses, right? So 1.2 is fully guaranteed 2024 base salary. 23 million guaranteed fully in 2024 total compensation. Total compensation. That's the key part. That means he's going to get that money, right? Period. And $18 million salary in 2025 can push up to $21 million. That means $3 million can be earned, $3 million in escalators. That means checkpoints. That means if he reaches a certain amount of catches, a certain amount of yards, a certain amount of touchdowns, top 10, this and that, pro, whatever. $3 million in escalators, 70 catches, 1,000 yards, 10 TDs. To make the full $52 million, has to trigger a $2 million annual incentive for being ranked in the top 10 in catches, yards, and touchdowns, and an annual playoff incentive of $2 million. So in other words, incentive-based contract with some escalators. Which on a low key, I was actually like, I didn't think about it like this with Mike Evans, but the way it's structured, he can get his money as long as he's productive. Remember, the NFL is a production-driven league, right? So as long as he's productive, he's going to get his money. And that's what he's banking on. He was like, well, I did it in 2023. I could do it in 2024 and possibly 2025. Put your play on the field. Let your play on the field determine how much money you make. Now, he could have asked for a ton of money, more than this, from the Bucs or the Chiefs or the Ravens, whatever the case may be. But he's betting on himself that he's going to reach his escalators with no problem. He's going to reach his 70 catches, his 1,000 yards, and his 10 touchdowns. That's just Mike Evans. He's consistent, right? So he has no problem with those escalators and those incentives. Which now we'll get to more detail about the contract, right? So, yeah, so it's $3 million in escalators and $8 million in incentives. So it's $8 million in incentives, not 11. I want you to understand that part. I think somebody said $11 million in incentives. No, it's $8 million in incentives and $3 million in escalators. Okay. In order for Mike Evans to reach to get the $52 million, the Bucs got to win the Super Bowl this year and next year. Now, that goes back to the hashtag bigger picture here. Okay. And we'll get to that at the very end of my thoughts here. That's the max value of the contract. If the Bucs win the Super Bowl 2 years in a row, he can reach $52 million. Now, the chances of that happening, you can put your money on that. Good luck. Also, so the 2024 cap hit will be $5.5 million. I'm just rounding it up. I'm just giving you the whole number, not the whole number. I could say $5 million, but I just give you 5.5. It's 5.5. 5,568 was $5.5 million. Right? $5.568 million. That's the cap hit for 2024. 2025 cap hit, $22.358 million. Dead cap hit of $13 million. And these numbers are not these are not like official numbers, but just kind of give you an idea, right? That's what's been floating around, right? So the Bucs will be paying more money in 2025 for Mike Evans. Well, as far as, well, I can say paying more money, but as far as the cap hit, as far as the roster building situation, the Bucs are going to be owing $20+ million. Now, this ties into the Chris Godwin situation. Chris Godwin, at this point right now, his cap hit is bigger than Mike Evans for 2024. There is no way, no how you can go into 2024 season with the Chris Godwin cap hit of $27 million. No way, no how. You got to be freaking kidding me. That is a contract that needs to be restructured and is not going to age well. They got to figure that out. Okay. So, my thoughts on Mike Evans' contract. He took a discount. Let's keep it 100. It looked like a discounted contract to me. I mean, if you just average, if you say $41 million, it's $20.5 million average for this year, next year, because the $41 million guaranteed, not the escalators, not the $11 million, not the $11 million escalators and incentives. We're just talking about $41 million, and you divided into two. That's $20.5 million for 2024, 2025, just based on simple math. He could have got that. He could have got so much more on the open market. But shout out to Mike Evans. Congratulations. I can't say he okay. So he got what he wanted. He could stay with the Bucs, and he's getting his $20 million. If that's what he actually wanted. But he's getting $35 million guaranteed out of that $41 million. 80% of that $41 million is base guaranteed. So if you could look at it like one, you could break it down like this. You'll take a small cap hit this year and get paid next year with more money. I'm pretty sure they're going to add some void years to it to kind of lighten the cap load. So I'm going to just take a guess. They'll probably be paying Mike Evans, whether he's on the roster or not, until 2027. So I would say there will be a dead cap hit in 2026, a dead cap hit in 2027, right? Unless they do a contract extension, which I don't think he'll be playing at 35, 36 years old, right? Evans got two. I would say he's got two more good productive years at a high level. So by the time he turns 33, then it's like, what you gonna do, right? But shout out to Mike Evans for getting his contract, staying with Tampa Bay Bucks. I get I got the jersey, so I'm good with that, right? I'm always tough on Mike Evans because he's, being a receiver. Like if you're not a receiver, if you never played receiver, you don't understand the thought process. I'm always nitpicking at Mike Evans, and it's nothing but love. There's no hate to Mike Evans. I've never hated on Mike Evans. Yeah, he drops the ball sometimes. He's not a yak guy. I get it, but I just like as a receiver, as myself, I just like doing that. This is the competitive nature in me. I don't have his physical attributes. I don't have his, I might be fast as him, but I'm, short term. Like I might be a 40-yard dash. But he's still a top level receiver. And when I mean top level receiver, it can range from however you want to put this, top 10, top 15, top 12, top 20, however you want to put it, but I'm just going to use top level receiver. The aftermath of this contract breakdown, if this is true with the numbers, Chris Godwin. I don't like that contract now. I don't like Chris Godwin's cap hit. I don't like Carlton Davis' cap hit. I don't like Vita Vea's cap. I don't like Vita's cap hit either. They need to restructure something. They need to just restructuring contracts, Vita and Chris Godwin. And they will. I'm pretty sure they'll do one of them. But I think Godwin's a prime candidate to be restructured. As far as Carlton Davis, Ryan Jensen, and Russell Gage, those will be dead cap hits. Carlton Davis, they're talking about might be traded or, might be up for, post June 1st cut. I don't know. But the Bucs still got some wheels and got some deals and wheeling and dealing to make as far as structuring the team. Now, new news today, There was a 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time deadline for the Bucs to get Winfield Jr. under a extension. If not, he will be franchised. And Lord behold, not surprised, Winfield Jr. is franchised. I think it's $17.1 million. And he gets that all in 1 year. If they don't come to a contract agreement, which they probably will in the next few days, if they don't come to a contract agreement by the time the franchise deadline is up, that will be a $17.1 million cap hit. I don't think they want to do that. And then there's talks about him getting a 3-4 year deal worth $20 million with a light 2024 cap hit. Of course, the cap hits will go up in 2025 and 2026 because they're gonna structure that contract like that. But he will probably be most likely the first safety. Derwin James is the highest paid safety at $19 million and some change. But Winfield Jr. will probably reset the market, and they'll probably put him at $20 million, $20.3 or $20.4 million, a straight up $20 million safety. Now, how do you build a team? Not through a safety. I'll just give y'all the reality. Like, most teams are not paying safeties a ton of money. Now, the Chargers, Jesse Bates, Justin Simmons, there's exceptions. You got to be an exceptional player back there to get that much money. But there's not a lot of safeties getting that type of money. Most safeties are getting under $15 million. But if you're a special player like Winfield Jr. and Derwin James and Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons, then you can get that money. But as far as team building, you don't fork out that type of contract to that position just based on NFL history. That's like running backs, safeties, inside linebackers, unless he's an exceptional player, right? Exceptional players get big contracts, and Winfield Jr. is one of them. But just in team building, you don't pay safeties that much money. You just don't do it. That's not how you win Super Bowls. You don't win Super Bowls with your safety getting paid that much money, unless he's exceptional. Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, Winfield. You get where I'm going with this, right? The money goes towards quarterback, left tackle, receiver, cornerback, pass rusher. That's where your money goes at. That's how you win Super Bowls. But shout out to Winfield Jr. for getting the $17 million. But I think he'll get $20 million. Now the question is, with that, you got Mike Evans under contract, you'll eventually get Winfield Jr. under contract. That leaves Baker Mayfield. So 2 boxes has been checked. You got Evans under contract. You got Winfield Jr. on a franchise tag / a contract coming soon in the next few days, a few weeks, whatever. And then the last piece of the puzzle right now is Baker Mayfield. Both sides are trying to get it done. Both sides are mutually in agreement in a sort of way. My question is, with Baker Mayfield's contract, does he want to test free agency? There's rumors coming up talking about the New England Patriots wanted Mike Evans, but Mike Evans had no interest. And I think it's be the same for Baker Mayfield. So all these narratives flying around about what the Patriots are trying to do, in my opinion, that's just fluff. That was contract position talk. I can believe the Patriots probably would take Mike Evans or would like to talk to him, whatever. But I cannot believe, and that's just me, I can't believe the Patriots I'm going to pay Baker Mayfield. No, I just don't see it. The narrative's coming out. Remember when the season was over with, it was, Baker's going to have a ton of suitors after him. And after the season has passed and a few weeks has passed and we into the off season, it was like, several teams would be interested in Baker Mayfield. In actuality, it's the Bucs, possibly the Falcons. But remember, there was going to be this, oh my gosh, teams are going to go after Baker. That was never true. And I'm going to tell y'all this one more time, or a few more times. The Bucs are competing with themselves for Baker Mayfield's services. The Bucs have all the leverage here. They don't, to be honest with you, they don't even have to overpay him. And let me give you a telltale sign here. That contract is going to be incentive based, also with escalators, just like Mike Evans. Look at Mike Evans' contract. You mean to tell me Baker Mayfield contract is not going to look like that? It's going to absolutely look like that. It's going to be incentive, an escalator. It's probably going to have more of that than anything. They're going to give him some guaranteed money, but I promise you, he's going to have some escalators and some incentives into that contract. And that will allow the Bucs to get out of that contract if it doesn't work out. So in other words, it'll be like the Russell Wilson contract, not numbers wise, but just set up where they can make a decision and say, like, that's like Daniel Jones contract or the Derek Carr contract before the Saints restructured. But it'll be set up like that. They'll give him some guaranteed money, and then they'll say, look, I'm gonna say it'll be like a 3-year deal, but I'm gonna look at it as a 2-year deal. I'm gonna look at it exactly how I look at Mike Evans' contract. You're gonna get like 60 to 70, maybe 80% of it, the base money, guaranteed, and then they're gonna throw in probably a good chunk of it. Maybe I would say, I'm gonna throw a number out there. It'll probably be 60% guaranteed and 40% incentives and escalators. Just look at Mike Evans' contract and tell me that you're not going to see a similar contract with Baker Mayfield. Hopefully, they can keep that contract, and I'll make this even easier for you Pirates and Seabans. If they can keep that contract between $20 and $27 million, that will be perfect for the Bucs. Because they can do a lot. And then they make their restructures and their cuts, the post June 1st cuts. They can make some moves in free agency. Think about what I'm saying, folks. Look at the bigger picture here. If they can keep that contract between $20 and $27 million, right, and make it a 3-year deal, 2 years, and to be honest with you, you can really sweeten it up. You can make it a 3-year deal, but every year is optional. Every year, you got your guaranteed money, but every year you can go back to the table and say, is this the guy moving forward? You can give yourself an out of Baker Mayfield every year. Or you can say, you know what, we'll do a 3-year deal, but then after 2 years, after 2024 and after 2025, we can get out of that contract. However the Bucs want to do it, but I'm just giving you my take on how I look at Baker Mayfield's contract. Between $20 and $27 million, you can go a 3-year optional years or a 3-year deal with 2 years with the 3rd year option. 60% of it is guaranteed. 40% of it is escalators and incentives. The Bucs got to protect themselves from Baker Mayfield. Nothing against Baker Mayfield, but they got to protect themselves because of the performance as a whole. One season does not define a quarterback. This applies to every quarterback, good or bad or elite. One season does not define you. You need multiple seasons of productivity. Multiple seasons of productivity to be named elite. And in Baker's case, this is why the contract can't be, and I know some people can agree with this, it can't be over $30 million. Like, it shouldn't be, I guess it can't. It shouldn't be over $30 million. Like I said, I'm going to repeat this, between $20 and $27 million. Because if they can get him in that range right there, they can make some moves in free agency. They can make some things happen. Now they're saying, oh, he's not going to take a discount. I keep going back to that part. This is narrative driven. But what do you mean he's not taking a discount? He's never had a big contract. This is not his first big contract. I mean, this is not his second big contract. This is his first one. What do you mean he's not taking a discount? Your market value is what it is. And if teams are not clamoring for you, that means your market value is overrated, which I think Baker Mayfield market value is overrated and is media driven. It's media narrative driven. And the reality is, you can see it. Now it's just the Patriots and the Falcons and the Bucks. At first, it was the Broncos, it was the Raiders, the Vikings. He can go the Patriots. It was like 7 teams. But in the reality, it never was 7 teams interested in Baker Mayfield. Maybe 2 at best, and that's the Falcons. Because of where they were drafting at. It was like, oh, Minnesota can get Baker Mayfield. No, man. But that's just my opinion, though. So we're going to see what they do with Baker Mayfield now that they franchise tag Winfield Jr. We might hear something with the Baker Mayfield contract in a couple days. But if he hits free agency, I'm telling you, if he hits free agency, y'all going to see the truth. Y'all going to see the truth if Baker Mayfield reaches free agency. You're going to see the truth. You're going to see the truth of what the interest is. And I know Baker Bros probably believe that all 17's on him. That's not true. The Bucks are if I had to make 100% a pie chart, 99% is Bucks. And the 1% is the Falcons. That's it. You want to know why? Is because he's never been a top dog quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback. And to tie that in, to wrap this up, to tie that in with the hashtag today, bigger picture. Here's the bigger picture. So the Bucks are bringing back the core. Well, what's the direction? You're bringing back your core, but what's the direction? In order to reach the highest level, the pinnacle of NFL football, something extraordinary needs to happen, like a major change. Whether it's a top-level coach or what the Rams did, going from an average Jared Goff to Matthew Stafford. Something extraordinary and major has to happen for the Bucks to make a jump. If that does not happen, the picture paints out as you're going to get the same results that you've gotten for the last 2 years, these past 2 years. Let me repeat that. If the Bucks want to reach the pinnacle of football elite teams, something extraordinary needs to happen. A la Matthew Stafford going from the Lions to the Rams. At quarterback. Or a top-level coach takes over the Bucks. If those 2 things don't happen, what's the ceiling? Ask yourself that question. You're bringing back the core guys after back-to-back seasons of mediocre in the regular season. 17-17 the last 2 seasons. You're bringing back the core, per se. What results do you think the Bucks are going to get by doing that? That means you're in the hamster wheel. Hashtag bigger picture here. Look, I'm all for the players getting their money, but y'all know me, I'm always about the team and the direction of the team. Once again, it goes back to this. An elite quarterback with an average roster or an average quarterback with an elite roster. The Bucks got to pick one. Because at this rate, you're pretty much asking for mediocre. That's that 7-10, 8-9, 9-8 range. Almost don't count. We cannot accept mediocre as Bucks fans. We've gotten a taste of back-to-back winning seasons at a high level. Got the Super Bowl in 2020 and then turn around 13-4 the next season. And then we had a drop off, 8-9, 9-8. If you want exceptional results, you can't accept mediocre. Mediocrity. Bowles, Baker. Yeah, pay him. Sure, pay him. But where are you going? Where are you going with this core? Are you considered an elite team with Baker Mayfield leading it? With an aging Mike Evans? With no running game, with a weak interior O-line and questions at linebacker and cornerback? Is that an elite team? Or are the Bucs, they are who they are. Scrappy, will be in some games, going to win some games, going to lose some games. But when you wake up at the end of the season, it's like, well, because at this current state, if you bring everybody back, the ceiling's still not high. It goes back to what I said a couple minutes ago. In order for the Bucs to reach a higher level, you got to have an extraordinary quarterback, coach, and the Bucs don't have neither. They don't have an extraordinary roster. So the ceiling for the Bucs is basically what we saw the last two seasons. And this is just the bigger picture here, because everybody's clapping their hand. But y'all know me, I'm a forward thinker. Think about it. I'm a forward thinker. Sign the players, get their money. But where does that leave the roster? Now, we still got the draft and free agency. But this is why this is an imperative. It's imperative for the Bucs to sign Baker Mayfield for the right amount of money, to allow flexibility to get some free agents possibly, right? And also get and Jason Light comes around and have another good draft class. Here's the best case scenario. Another draft class that's pretty good, like 2023. You get 2 or 3 starters out of 2024 draft class, and then you sign a couple of free agents that can get the Bucs over the hump from 8-9 wins up to 11-12. That's how it works. That's how it works, folks. If the Bucs want to make a jump, I'm going to keep stressing this out for the rest of the offseason. Free agency and in draft. That draft class needs to be extraordinary with 2 or 3 starters. High level. I'm not talking about starters that's like, okay, he's starting. I mean, he's producing. I'm talking about Tristan Wirfs, Antoine Winfield Jr. type impact. I'm talking about Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch impact. That type of impact for the team. The 2000, I know, as much as I don't want to say this, but the 2017 Saints draft class impact, when they had 5 guys that started pretty much. You feel me? We need that type of impact. The Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson, Tank Dell, 3 starters, high impactful guys. That's what the Bucs need this draft class. And this is nothing against Yaya Diaby and Kalaji Clancy. They're going to be good players. They're going to be probably top above average players. But the Bucs need 2 or 3 more special players, a la Tristan Wirfs, Winfield Jr. That's what we need at key positions. Cornerback. Hello. Pass rush. Cornerstone positions is where the Bucs need Tristan Wirfs, Winfield Jr. type draft picks. They got the left tackle, right? They got their safety, right? Passing lead, Winfield Jr. Okay, you got your elite safety, an elite left tackle. Okay, what else? What else? Outside of them two, what else? Everything else outside of, and I'm talking about like for the young. Look, we know Mike Evans he's top level receiver, right? We know that. We got that part. I'm just talking about the guys that's going to be around for the long term. Mike Evans is short term. That's why I'm not including him. That's why I'm not including Levante David, because we know what they are. But Winfield Jr. and Tristan Wirfs are still young. That's the cornerstones of your franchise. You need two more like that. One at cornerback and one at pass rush. Because you got to get to the pass rush. Because if you can get an elite pass rusher with Yaya and Kalijah Clancy, now you got three productive young guys that you can build around and cause havoc. Because now you could just draft on top of those three on the D line. And you show up that interior O-line, left guard, center. The jury's still on Cody Mulch, right? Luke Gedeke, he's getting better. I'm not too much worried about tight end. I ain't sure about that. You feel me? That's how the Bucs are going to make this jump. But the route they're going right now, and like I said, we don't know what's going to happen with the draft class 2024, who they're going to pick, and we don't know who they're going to sign in free agency. But at this current moment, at this point, the Bucs are literally going to be the same team. As of right now. Now, things can change. Things will change. But just looking at the chess pieces right now, re-sign Mike Evans, franchise tag Winfield Jr., and you sign Baker Mayfield. Okay, great. What's the ceiling? What's the bigger picture here? You got Todd Bowles, Baker Mayfield combination. If you do a quarterback combination comparison from 1 to 32, there you have it. I'm pretty sure most of you now are putting Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield together as a combo in the top 10 quarterback coach combo. Let's be real. So in order for the Bucs to get out of this mediocrity, this hamster wheel, this whatever this rut is, I'm going to go back to this and I'm going to end the video like this. Something extraordinary needs to happen with the roster. That roster needs to go to a top level roster. Baker Mayfield's average at best. The play shows that. Or you get an elite quarterback with an average roster. That's how it works, folks. You got to pick one. You got to pick one. And, of course, you got to draft well, but that's how it pretty much works out for the top level teams. Your coach got to be exceptional, or you got a quarterback that can overcome mediocre coaching, or you got a really good roster. And unfortunately, we don't have an elite coach, and we don't have an elite quarterback, and we don't have a top level roster. So we got to get one of them right. I'm gonna put my money on the roster. Can this roster become a top level roster this year with the draft class and free agency? Can this roster make the jump? Because we know what Baker Mayfield and Todd Bowles is. Average at best. 17-17 Todd Bowles last 2 years as a head coach. That's average. Baker Mayfield, one good year in 7 years. 1 out of 6. It's average. That's not even average, but you get what I'm saying. A career year. Warren Moon. That's how it happens. Career year, you want to get paid, you have your best year. So we're going to see what path do the Bucs take. I'm going to say upgrade the roster. Get the roster to above average. You can win more games with Baker Mayfield. I promise you. You get that O-line, that left guard, and that center shored up. You get that running game improved. You can overcome average coaching and average quarterback play with a really good roster around them. That's how it works, man. If you don't believe it, look around the league. All the elite quarterbacks got high ceilings. C.J. Stroud, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. That's it. Joe Burrow. That's your elite quarterbacks. And their rosters are pretty decent, right? Every other quarterback after that, you're just fighting for scraps. The Bucs are fighting for scraps. Positioning. It's just what it is. It's just the truth. There's only a handful of elite quarterbacks. If I didn't mention the quarterback name, he's not elite. Sorry, Baker Bros. Baker Mayfield's not elite. And as far as elite rosters, sorry, Bucs fans, the Bucs don't have an elite roster. Why? They got holes. Pass rusher, cornerback. They got holes. Linebacker. They got holes. There's only a handful of teams with elite rosters that's going to be continuously winning a lot of games. And then you got that next group that got above average rosters that's going to be in contention, but not contenders. And then you got that third tier is where the Bucs are at. Milling around, fumbling around, trying to figure out the core, need to add some pieces, missing some holes. But they're not a bad team. They're not really good. They're an average team. If you're a Bucs fan, you want this roster to be above average. That's what you got to hope for. A really good draft class and some productive free agents if they get some. They re-signed Devin Tompkins and Brandon Walton, 1-year deals. But I'm telling y'all, man, as I wrap this up, I'm telling y'all, if something extraordinary does not happen with this roster, expect the same results. Because we know what the coach is and we know what the quarterback is. We know what Mike Evans is. We know what they are. But what about cornerback, interior O-line, pass rusher, linebacker, another safety? What's the tight end situation? Mediocre. Warren Moon. You know what we doing? Like, I can do this all day. Bigger 9, get the 4-5, simplified. I try to make things simplified, folks. Lay it out right in front of you. Put the reality right in front of you, and you need to look at reality. Do not try to overlook and convince yourself that something's there and it's not. Meaning, hashtag bigger picture. Look at the bigger picture, folks. And I told y'all this back in 2020 about the Bucs team. 2 or 3 year run. It was a 2-year run. Then it just kind of broke apart, and now we just been milling around with mediocre. And here we are in the next 2 or 3 years. Now we're in another phase now. What's going to happen here? Because if this doesn't go right, we're going to be spinning in the hamster wheel. Every year, these next 2 or 3 years, it's just going to be like, expectations 7-10, 9-8, 8-9. And you guys are going to get tired of that. You're going to get tired of winning some games, starting the season out 1-4, then going a 6-game winning. You're going to get tired of that. You're going to get tired of this wishy-washy team like we saw in 2023. They went 1-6 in a 7-game span. You're going to get tired of that type of team. It's going to get too predictable. No high level, no high ceiling. Left tackle, safety, Tristan Wirfs, Winfield Jr., Mike Evans, and if Levante David come back, those are your guys right there. And then everybody else, and then you got a group of people that's trying to prove something, like the 2nd-year guys, right, and the 3rd-year guys. And then you got guys that they are who they are. I'm just saying. You got 2 options here. You want mediocre, because if you in mediocre, that means you're just kidding yourself, right? And if you start over, that means you can start fresh. Or if you have something extraordinary happen to your team, a better coach, a better quarterback, whatever the case may be, that's when you make the jump. So you got 2 ends of the spectrum. If you keep middling around, you're fooling yourself. But if you tank, at least you have a new clear direction. I'm not saying the Bucs should tank, but if the Bucs want something extraordinary to happen, that roster needs to get better. Too many holes. Because if you want to win at the pinnacle of the football, if you want to be every year Super Bowl contenders, which means going into the season, there's no questions about, well, we don't know. It's like, that's like every year you can say the Chiefs are Super Bowl contenders. You can literally say the Ravens are going to be contenders. The Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, 49ers going into this season. You can't mention the Bucs like that. You can't put the Bucs in that category. Even in the second tier, you can't even put them in the second tier with the Lions. As far as overall structure, head coach, roster, the Bucs got some work to do. Because as a fan, if you okay with mediocrity, then you'll be happy with anything they do that makes you feel good. I can't work off of feelings. I got to work off of reality. I want the Bucs to be contenders. Expectation, because if you expect good things, if you expect, how can I word this if you expect great things to happen, that's how you got to look at it, right? If you okay with the Bucs making these signings and okay, we just win some games and all that, then shame on you as a fan. Any NFL fan, a part of any NFL franchise, you should want your team to reach the top year in and year out. Now, it's hard to do that. That takes a great organization from top down, top to bottom, to make that happen year in and year out. Wouldn't you like that? Would you like the Bucs to be in that category every year? That's a great organization. They make the right moves. They got a good roster. They got a solid. Don't you want to go into the season every year like, oh, we just add a couple guys here or add a guy or two here. We're missing a piece or two. Don't you want to you don't want to have these conversations, right? You want to go into the season like, can you imagine us having this conversation right now? And I'm talking to y'all. And I'm like, man, if the Bucs just get a better center, that's it. Like, we just need a better center. We finished the season 12-5. We just got to tighten up a couple things. Like, just upgrade the position. Center, or just patch up. One there, one there, and get some depth. Pass rush is good. The secondary is pretty decent. We had some injuries, whatever, and we had some bad bounces of the ball. Don't y'all want to hear that type of conversation going into the season? Versus, man, I don't know what the Bucs need to do, but the Bucs need a better running game and interior O-line and secondary, and they need maybe another receiver, and they need a linebacker, and then the pass rusher. You don't want it. This is the conversation we got to have because the Bucs are just not there. The Bucs are not even close to being a Super Bowl team in contention. Not saying that they got to win the Super Bowl, but they're not even in contention. Oh, but the Bucs were 2 games away from the Super Bowl. It's always a but. Buts don't win championships. But the Bucs are almost don't count. You know what counts? 9-8. 8-9. 17-17. That's the reality. That's what counts. That is a fact. You can't live off of woulda, coulda, shouldas, and but this and but that. And the reality is right in your face. Because guess what? I always tell y'all this. You can't leave out context. Because what you apply to a player, a GM, a coach, a team can apply to all the teams. If this was to happen, then that would happen. But guess what we do know? Going into the season, I can care less about how you feel. But what we do know going into the season, the Bucs are not Super Bowl contenders. I don't care about how you feel about a player. I don't care how you feel about the Bucs. The Bucs are not in the top 10 or top tier teams mentioned when it comes to Super Bowl. That is a fact. What we do know as a fact, 31st ranked running game going into the season. That's a fact. And there's no dancing around that. I don't care how you feel. What we do know, the Bucs average 21 points a game, middle of the pack at best. What we do know, the Bucs are 17-17 the last 2 years. It's average. What we do know, the Bucs interior O-line is terrible. What we do know, the Bucs need some more pass rushers. Or two. One or two. What we do know, the Bucs secondary, cornerbacks in particular, are not good. Average at best. See what I'm saying? I'm just giving y'all the reality of it. Y'all saw it all past this. Y'all saw it in 2023 and you saw it in 2022. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at the Bucs for playing average at best. I'm just giving y'all the reality of the situation. Bigger picture. Hashtag bigger picture. Folks, you cannot live in be hopeful and optimism. You can't live in that world. Because guess what? When you wake up every day and drive to work, that's reality. When you wake up in and out of that bed, go to that kitchen and get you something to eat, that's reality. Things that is tangible, things that's actually happening. We're not doing this multiverse and this Marvel's what ifs. What if the Bucs can do this? Okay, well, what if the Falcons do that then? How about that? I don't play that what if game. Look, conversation purposes, that's good for conversation, but let's get back to reality. Mike Evans got his money. Winfield Jr. got franchise tag, finna get his money. Baker Mayfield finna get his money. But guess what? What's the bigger picture here? Where are we going? I'm all for the signings, but what's the bigger picture here? As a Bucs fan, what's the bigger picture? You see what I'm saying? So, with that being said, shouts out to all the Pirates and Sea Bandits. Thank you for joining this episode of the Locker Room Conversation, Locker Room Talk with your host. I'm happy, but I don't want any more mediocre stuff. I want the Bucs to go from 9 wins to 11, 12, maybe 13. And to get there, need some extraordinary things to happen. Fire those cannons, seize the day, raise the flag. One hashtag today. Hashtag bigger picture. You can rejoice, jump around all you want to about these contracts, but what's the bigger picture here? I cannot wait to see this Baker Mayfield contract. That's going to be an interesting live stream. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening. BucosLocker signing out.